the Des said, you're taking a team that's used to playing one way and merging them with a team that's used to playing another way. Basically split them in half and saying, guys, you've got to get in a room together, you've got to get on. I know you were enemies once upon a time, but now you've got to make things work.
I do like the guys with Copenhagen Flames going, well, we couldn't beat him, let's just join him instead. And then exactly going onto the 1-point roster. Going up against Shoes Money Crew, though, Des, we kind of have to have an affinity for Zeal, who's a UK player after all.
And so's Barbie. He's one of the boys. You see him at LAN.
Yeah, you see him at LAN, but he's not from the UK.
Mate, he's at UK. He was born and bred in the Fires of Insomnia series.
Well, Zeal is already making a name for himself, drawing first blood in this series, taking out Super Fluke and putting 1-point on the back foot.
This is where I get a lot of concern for 1-point as well, is if they lose in the GOATS matchup here in this tank lineup. Don't forget, Super Fluke was the Reinhardt player for Eagle Gaming. When it came to playing Winston, that wasn't really his jam. That was Nox who played a lot of that. So Super Fluke's Winston, if you speak to any tank in Europe, they will tell you it isn't the strongest thing in the world. His Ryan's fantastic, but there's concerns around that.
Well, Hardest taking out Colsty, so they've got their edge on the side of 1-point, forcing Shoes Money Crew back. They did get that initial capture, so progress is starting to tick towards them. They might be able to contest and get a little bit more out of it, but right by the edge. Going to use the protective barrier to deny the sealed bash, but Super Fluke is still going to find Mouse, and Tri-Spear, he takes the long drop off the side of the building. So will Hardest, because Izzy sneaks in there with a sound wave.
Bit greedy from Shoes Money Crew there. They lost their main tank and still tried to take a fight on the point, and ultimately just got themselves stalled out for a little bit longer, giving more over to 1-point and their hold. I'm really keeping a close eye on Mouse in this series as well, because I remember back in Season 1 we watched this guy quite a lot, and he was a bit of a tracer one trick, didn't see too much more out of him. And I was speaking to the guys earlier, Barbie, I was saying, well, you know, Mouse has always been a guy I really want to see succeed, but it's been tough so far. Now I'm going to be trying with this all come out though, everyone's put together, no one's gone down yet, Transcendence follows through immediately.
Succession being denied by a Transcendence, but it's answered immediately by 1-point. A huge shatter to disrupt the entire fight. 1-point forcing Shoes Money Crew out of this courtyard and not letting them get a single path to this point to contest as they move back on themselves for falling back. Mouse taking out Hardest is going to open things up for them. Tri-Spear follows up with a couple of orbs, taking out Horfik. Super Fluke takes out Colsty as well. So there's still back and forth. The progress is still being accrued by 1-point as they have the initial capture, but the kill feed's all white. So we're going to see a flip over the Shoes Money Crew.
Mouse is doing some work. Zeal as well. 3 kills there on the Brigitte towards the end of that fight, but that's 2 fights now where Mouse has managed to pick off Hardest. Already got that ult online as well. Of course, in that last fight, Hardest did burn it towards the very start. Nothing really came off the back of that one, though. Bit of a scrappy start between the two teams. Still kind of feeling each other out for the most part, it feels. But again, Mouse is the guy I want to see if he's improved a lot. I've been told that his Widow's become fantastic, that Zarya's naturally had to play an absolute ton as well. Question marks then come really around the supports as well. Tri-Spear, a veteran in Contenders, it feels like as well. Lots to look forward to on the Shoes Money Crew team to see what they can deliver against 1-point.
Graviton Surge to kick things off. Mal's going to pop that right on top. There's the charge. Get Super Fluke out of the way, so Barbie can connect that kill onto Hardest. And another 1 fight for Shoes Money Crew.
Ult's being stacked up there for 1-point as well. They're getting towards that 5-6 ult point. I've been saying it so many times today, that critical mass. If things are looking a bit shaky, you just stack up those ults and you go for it. They've got time here because they've got 62% on the ticker already, and Shoes Money Crew are very quickly beginning to approach that mark as well. They're about to have both of their support ultimates online, so as long as they don't double stack them, this could be a successful fight for Shoes Money Crew.
Pushing forward through that initial choke. Stun goes into the corner. Horfik not going to connect that one. You can see Zeal already being pushed back to the point behind the rest of his team. Transcendence coming out early.
That's very early.
For Scalar to keep them and force this fight. Graviton Surge sent to the back. They've only got Transcendence to time it up nicely. Self-destruct right in the middle from Getamaze. Finds Izzy, Colsty, and a D-Mech. 1-point, going to be able to flip this back over. So Des, it's not a clear cut as we thought it was going to be. Very scrappy first round, and it's going to keep on going that way.
If you can make those combos work, where you get the self-destruct into the middle of a Graviton Surge, and then you drop the shield of the Reinhardt, either with a charge from your Rein or a Brigitte bash, it's about as clear cut as it gets. You basically guarantee yourself at least a couple of kills to be able to cleanse a fight off the back of that.
You truly guarantee the fight with just superior Diva Bomb placement. It didn't matter. That Graviton was so awkward because it put the Reinhardt on the edge. Look at the Boop, going to force it out early. They're not going to be able to hold the high ground. Into a shatter immediately. Sound barrier thankfully is there for Izzy to stem the bleeding that Shu is now hemorrhaging after this fight. Super Fluke finding a double. Seal and Colsty being the first 2 victims. They'll go back to the sport room. Retreat was not allowed. The Graviton Surge maybe a little bit misplaced on that one. Earth Shatter as well was an odd choice to come out of that fight. He's not going to be able to get anything done if they sprint to the point for the contest. It's Izzy to be the saving grace, but he's launched off of the map. Yeeted, if you will, as Getamaze picks up a triple kill and a D-Mech. 1-point have control of the point, and they're going to take the first round.
Into the iris.
Okay, good stuff between both sides as well. Even Shoes Money Crew getting towards that 90% mark shows this won't be a rollover again. One of those series I was looking at and thought it seems like a pretty close one when you put these two teams down against each other on paper. Delivered at least in that first round. Let's see how the second one goes. Going to go now over to Garden. You usually see a lot of Pharah and Widow play here, but with how these two teams, I think, coming into this one, you'll still see a lot of tank play.
You're saying it's Pharah? Zeal might be opting to go for it. Mal's tempted to go for the Sombra as well. So they're going to deviate from the script or the Gospel of Goats we have in EU. Try something different and go up against One.PoinT. And I think One.PoinT are semi-expecting the lack of Goats because they've opted to go for Moira to take the heal rather than that Zen, which you usually see in the mirror matchup.
Well, let's see if they can make this work then. You're playing a big risk here by not playing Goats into Goats, but to be fair to them as well, they've acknowledged that, you know what, we just lost on that Goats versus Ghosts matchup. Let's mix things up and see if we can catch them by surprise, and that Pharah is a great way of doing it. You rain down hell from above. Scaler getting picked up at the back. That's a huge heal factor down for this tank lineup.
I believe he was hacked there as well, so there's not much he could have done to even protect himself in terms of fading away and keeping himself alive. So he goes down with 30%, and Zeal's just free to rain down rockets from above. No one's even paying him the time of day, as Izzy follows up with a kill onto Hardest. He's just able to get ult charged so quickly. He's at 90%, close to the 100 as he pumps and reloads, ready to go again.
But they still haven't got point.
Exactly, they've lost control of the point. They need to get up there. They're going to contest it, firing the barrage straight into Horfik. He's very low, which enables Superblue to get in there with a swing of the hammer and a flame strike to guarantee the kill. You've taken out your biggest damage threat. This should surely go over to One.PoinT.
It just shows that despite no matter how much harassment you take from a Pharah, Goats will still go where it wants to go. Tanks can hold ground a lot better than any other comp can, especially when you're indoors like this. It's taken a bit of time, but they do force them away. Shoes Money Crew say, all right, guys, we gave it a go, but clearly we can't break it. Back over to Goats.
I respect the effort. I always will when they try to deviate from
the norm.
The norm, yeah, the norm, which is what the competitions have been. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance to a Goats v Goats matchup, but seeing something spicy really add something to it. Shoes Money Crew have the added benefit of that Zenyatta. They should be able to shred through the tanks if they find the right opportunity. Fact, and the rest of his team are close to their ultimates, so this engagement in this small confined space could be a problem for them, but that knockdown from Superblue is going to keep everyone in the corner, ready for killing, and just going to slow this one down a bit. Let Barbies be stored out a little bit more and get the kill. He jumps off.
And Hardest with that Graviton Surge online. You can look at all the ults starting to line up here for One.PoinT as well. Almost 4 of them online against Shoes Money Crew's 1. We'll start calling them SMC, I think, because saying Shoes Money Crews all the time is getting a little bit lengthy.
Yeah, it depends on the context. I think SMC is a safer bet for casual conversation. But maybe we need to add some gusto to it, go for the full name.
Shoes Money Crew.
Shoes Money Crew dropping themselves into the thick of it as Getamaze will find a triple kill. As Superblue will then follow up with a 4th. They're just absolutely dismantled running through that choke.
And again, it comes down to this big tanky front line. Those 3 former members of Eagle Gaming all on tanks on the big beefy bodies in the front of this fight. In fact, they're kind of playing guidance. It's almost like a sheep herder with that speed boost. You've got Scaler in the back line as well, slamming down those heals. And Hortik as well, don't forget, he's a pretty crucial component of this. His job is to get those stuns onto Colsey when those Earth Shadows and Self-Destructs are coming through.
Hiding around the terrain of this point, giving themselves exposed. Superblue got stunned, but they know that's on cooldown now, using the Transcendence to keep everyone alive. Colsey misses the charge, goes for the Shatter, going to be answered. One blocked, one wasn't. Sound Barrier comes out afterwards for One.PoinT to keep him in the fight. They're looking to break through Colsey. He's going to swing the hammer instead. Coalescence cuts through everyone. Your shield cannot block that. It's a self-destruct to the point. We'll pull them together. Hardest gets wrapped down the wrong side, and now Fat and Getamaze are pulled into the mix. He still manages to find Zeal, but the team is a little bit of a shadow of its former self as Tri-Spear gets that D-Mech, and a high charge Mouse is moving forward to try and shed through the rest of the team. At 99%, Shoes Money Crew need to win this fight, and they're going to do that and get the flip.
It feels funny for once to see the flex tank being focused down in all of these fights over the main tank. In every single fight, it feels like the Shoes Money Crew have won. It's been by focusing down Hardest, almost literally extracting the power core from this One.PoinT team and leaving Superblue at a loss without the shields or any excessive healing to keep him going. They're going to switch things up though as well. Finally, after they've lost the fight, they're trading out the Moira, going over to the Zen for that more aggressive or EU style, should we say, Goats.
Well, now Shoes Money Crew have the luxury of the choke. Look at that! That speed boost over the road. They're going to completely bypass the choke, and it's forcing out Transcendence very early on to try and win the fight. Look at the coverage that they get from this one. Earth Shatter going to be cancelled out. Super Fluke unable to connect it because there was a beautiful stun there by Zeal. Did cost him his life to Scaler, but I ultimately think Shoes Money Crew have control until Horfit comes around, takes out Colsty, fires a Graviton Surge against the wall to buy some time for his team because they're going to try and kill Hardest. Nothing Fat could do about that, but he's going to give Miles a bad case of tinnitus as he knocks off the side of the map. They've still got tanks there to contest against Barbie. He's not going to have enough time to stay on it. He's got a self-destruct. He can maybe stall a little bit longer, but I think this is going to be a flip over to 1Point. They're going to use that self-destruct now. Sound barrier coming out. Super Fluke's shield will block most of the damage. Down finds 2. Super Fluke moving forward to protect his team. Horfit stays alive, more importantly, and they're going to keep the fight alive for 1Point. There's going to be more damage on the point. The self-destruct used offside to force everyone into the interior, but that's exactly where 1Point are already. I think it's more for a remake. Shatter being dropped down to multiple members. Protected barrier will buy Zeal some more time, but a boot sends Miles off the map. The advantage that 1Point has is too great. They're going to get the flip back, and I don't think a contest is going to come out from SMC.
Not this time, it doesn't feel like. Nope, nice first map going over to 1Point there with the 2-0. Nice out of Fat. That boop in the penultimate fight where he managed to get Miles off the edge as he popped out the Graviton Surge meant all that AoE follow-up damage wasn't there to come through. Nice easy cleanup for the team. So everyone pulling apart, and it turns out that these two halves coming together definitely makes a whole.
It's looking good at the moment, but Control, very different beast to what can happen in the rest of the series. Fantastic start though. We saw some nice plays coming out from SMC. Percentage-wise, does look very one-sided towards 1Point, but there's some resistance coming out here, so it's not entirely over yet, and I'm not willing to give it over to 1Point. We are going to give it over to a break though. When we come back, map number 2 will be ready for you. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe. We're about to jump into the second map of this series. 1Point, of course. They have the lead. They won that first map. Lijiang Tower, 2-0 on the rounds. Fairly dominant scoreline. Shoes Money crew need a little bit of warming up, I think. I think this roster can do better than they're doing right now.
But some kudos to them as well for breaking the formula of GOATs and being willing to try something else. It did show at least initial success when they managed to pick off the Moira in the backline by getting the hack down, and then Farah just rained rockets in. But it didn't last long enough. GOATs can still force its way onto the point, and they found themselves down and out. But we're heading into Numbani, so maybe it's time to mix some things up. We saw when the teams played it earlier on today as well, we did get some different comps coming through. Admittedly, at one point when it was Farah and Anna and a Mercy, they got crushed pretty quickly. But fingers crossed these guys can turn it around and execute it better than they tried to earlier on today. I
keep hearing a lot about Torbjorn on Numbani, Des, and I'm waiting for the day we see it. We saw it earlier on Horizon Lunar Colony, and it immediately got shut down.
It didn't last very long.
Wasn't the best showing. Need some Torb. It is, after all, the hero I look the most like. I would like to see some more good representation of it.
Rather than just being a troll.
Well, it's either that or a gnome, dwarf, whatever you consider him to be. I'm not Swedish, I know that much, but...
Well, the comp that Shoes Money crew are rolling out with is actually what we saw earlier on as well, where you have that Sombra, you have the Farah with the Mercy, and the Anna on the high ground as well. The big mistake we saw earlier on today was that the D.Va went down low to go and contest elsewhere, left the supports exposed, and then they just got to dive from the other side to completely crush them. 1Point though, they're at least honoring that somewhat. They're going to go for this monkey goat setup. In fact, now they're changing things up even more. Hard is going to show what he's made of on the soldier. This is interesting. They're going for a high ground hold, I imagine, here.
Don't often see offensive Orissas on this type map archetype, especially in Contenders Europe. I wonder what the positioning is. They're probably going to take the high ground and try and provide a fortified location for Soldier, right?
Exactly, yeah. My biggest concern is there's no Lucio. Orisa is stupidly slow, and you need a way of making sure she can get to where she needs to be nice and easy. I mean, they've got in there now, but where do you go from here?
Well, they nearly took out Scalar, but he's going to stay alive. Nice use of Fortify to stop that concussive blast from moving them off the high ground. But now Hardest is going to get in position with this soldier. He's known for good tracking. There's a knock. Unfortunately, Superpluke is isolated. Then having time, and Hardest is now in the firing lines of Zeal. He's going to move around to the high ground, close to a barrage. In this confined space, it could be lethal, but he has to get out. They're paying him his dues, keeping an eye on Zeal, but Superpluke is still left isolated. How he's been able to stay alive here? Oh no, the barrage runs in. That's a 4K for Zeal, and 1Point had no response for it.
Much better results than what we saw on Garden, where he got himself killed without killing anyone when he used the barrage. So great stuff. They are making the comp work, and Zeal as well, playing a bit risky at points, going incredibly low, like sub 20 HP, nearly got himself picked off, but still managed to make it work. But this is very much so like the old Giganti strat, I suppose you could say, in a way, where what you're playing for is the Orisa ult to come online, because that huge 50% damage boost, there's a reason why it has the largest team fight win percentage in the game when activated, because it's damn well good. And with Hardest, with that ult on it by himself as well, you got a nano boost too. You want to layer them together? Good luck surviving a Hardest ultimate.
Yeah, well, hopefully this will do a lot better than the Giganti strat that they used on Volskaya, and maybe the Supercharger will pay them dividends. Like you said, there's a lot of damage boost layering available for him. They're going to go for it. They're waiting for it, but an EMP will remove the shield, and now they're exposed to the firing lines. Hardest will stay alive and get some return damage, but it's Tri-Spear getting the frags. He's just so safe with that distance on Ana. I think 1Point needs to mix it up here.
Superpluke didn't have his ultimate. They couldn't make use of that damage boost, and now they've got to try it all over again. But they do have 4. Oh, that's big. I was going to say, they had 4 ultimates online, and that ult is so impactful. I appreciate changing when you haven't got the soldier behind it anymore.
98%.
That was a lot to give away, because that is such a valuable ult. But hey, they're going to try something a bit different here. Change out to be that monkey goat's been speaking about quite a lot, but Moira is in the mix as well.
The EMP from Mouse was just to get the fight winner there, as Coulson's going to take out Superpluke. Concussive Blast keeps them out of the cover they were hoping to use against Zeal. He's got another barrage ready. I don't think he wants to go ahead and commit to this one yet. He's moving forward still. He's putting himself in a lot of danger. He's got high energy. That's probably why he wanted to do it. Bait Zeal in, then get him while he's low.
He's playing so aggressive. Hardest is basically their frontline tank here, which is always weird to say when you've got a main tank on your team as well. But every single fight, he is the one leading in. He wants to soak up that bubbles and get that extra charge. In a fight, he is more effective.
Well, Superpluke's going to be slept mid-air, puts the bubble down to protect him from Zeal, but he's got a tank chasing after him. Scalar's going to take out Colsty in the meantime. Rally's there, topping everyone up. Zeal's got that barrage, holding on to it for now. There's not the threat to take him out, unfortunately. Going to use Coalescence, that typically will be the thing. Nano Boost moving in very close, goes down low for Horvick, gets himself into cover with a shield bash to reposition, and then Scalar sweeps back out the side, hoses him down out the sky. Graviton Surge pulls Izzy together. The EMP is there to hopefully protect everyone else. If you can't use abilities, your damage is going to be mitigated as Hardest shreds through that mech, and Superpool is going to make sure that his kill comes through afterwards. Tri-Spear is jumping off the edge of the map. I do believe, Des, that OnePoint have captured point A.
You would be the right believer here, Tridd will say. They have indeed caught it, but OnePoint did have a really successful defense there. 3.5 minutes. We said a lot last season, if you can hold them for a minute or two, then it's deemed a mild success. If you can hold them for the full time, though, even better. So managing to run that time down a bit more does mean it might cost OnePoint in the later stages of this round. Depends how close they can get towards second while being stalled out here. Let's not forget, in the series earlier on today, we saw a lot of stalling going on in this corner for Hurricane. Let's see if they can replicate the same thing here.
Got themselves around that first initial corner, shall we say, but they're losing the fight. If Horvick goes down like that, maybe he should spend a little bit more time on his gameplay than making those meme edits he loves making so much. But Barbie's going to be the one to get that kill. OnePoint, undeterred by that death, still pressing forwards. The Shoes Money crew really feeling the hurt. But Barbecue's going to pick up another kill as he takes out Superplug. He's going to be deterred by that Graviton. He's too late! He was too late to get there. And that's going to be a triple kill for Getamaze, covering for the mistakes of his team in that instance as they move forward. Horvick's going to take out Zeal. There's a charge from Colsty trying to get away from whatever offense has been put out by OnePoint. They're going to get a D-Mech as well. I think the payload's about to hit themselves onto the latter stages of this stage.
Getamaze turns to his team and goes, another one. Got them all, boys.
Another one. No, but then he says another one afterwards. Gets the 3K.
Didn't even need any assistance for it. Just threw that bomb in with the Graviton Surge, catching him out there. No worries about shields, guys. I got this. Clean it up, and they managed to push through quite successfully. Great surprise combo that, honestly, Shoes Money crew weren't expecting. Their tank was way pushed up. And then everyone else was like, help, we're stuck. And he's like, oh, no.
It was a tennis volley. It just volleyed it nicely over the net and just punished him for being so far forward. Great play by Getamaze to make that happen, as now they're contesting over the final couple of meters of this point. 3.42 if you want to be picky. Transcendence on the point for Shoes Money crew, and it's going to be answered by OnePoint. Now let's use this overlap. Go aggressive when you have the additional healing. Shatter coming down, finds Superplug. He's protected by a barrier and the sound barrier. Horvick might be able to stay alive, but then Barbecue comes for the sweep. Takes him out. Graviton Surge pulls multiple members together, going for the charge afterwards, but the Discord Orb just helps Izzy shred through him with those sick beats. And Tri-Spear's going to move forward with the orbs, keep his team alive, and push OnePoint back to the spawn room. 3.42 meters and 40 seconds on the clock.
Nice pushback as well, and you can understand why Shoes Money crew were forced to burn the Transcendence there by OnePoint. Colsey's shield was broken, he was down to 50 HP. They had no choice, otherwise that fight would have 100% been lost. And like you said, OnePoint really should have pushed more aggressively, but it was a great counter shatter coming out of Colsey to knock the members down and stop them going aggressive.
Oh, he split the team. Tri-Spear's left out into the wind, then follow up with an air shot from Superplug, but he's going low. Colsey needs to be dealt with. Self-destruct, get your shield up, Superplug, protect your team. He's going to do just that. Protected barrier on him will keep him alive. They move around to the side. OnePoint have a serious man advantage. They just need to take out Izzy, who's on 1 HP. Nice headshot from Scalar as they trigger the final section of this map.
They're pushing in with a couple of ults on side as well. They can make this work out for them quite nicely, but that's twice now where they've been pushed essentially into overtime and still managed to win that final fight. SMC will be kicking themselves a little bit about how they couldn't close this out a bit sooner, with both of those points going into the dire seconds before OnePoint managed to capitalize. Now they're on this final point though. Still waiting some big combos to come online, but they don't need them apparently. They're just going to storm in and go for it. Hard is leading the charge.
Mal's going down with the Graviton Surge. No chance of resistance. They're going to have it for this home stretch, as well as a Transcendence on Tri-Spear. But the ultimates are matched and then some by OnePoint. You've got Horvick being the difference maker, tipping the scales with that rally. Look at Hardest. He's getting cozy, ready for it. Going to fire it straight into the spawn room. Pulls them all together. Transcendence bursts out early. They're trying to escape, but they can't. Superplug isolated Izzy with a charge. They're going to go into this 6v5, and they have no Transcendence. Shatter comes down. They're not multiple members and counters out that Graviton Surge. But the Transcendence is there for good measure to make sure everyone stays alive. Self-destruct will clear some more space. Tri-Spear leaps in, but he doesn't leap fast enough. OnePoint going to finish off Numbani.
Bit of a scuff final fight coming out of SMC there as well. The tank being completely separate from the rest of the team, and you know things like a Shatter online when a Grav's likely to come out. Just a bit too spacious, you might say, but they do it and leave 1 point with 30 seconds in the time bank. Now we get to see how they're going to stage out their attack. Will they go for a more conventional 3-3 attack on this one, or will they employ that Pharah once again, this time from the offensive standpoint?
I would have liked to have seen 1.0 try the composition they use on offense, on defense rather, and take a more defensive position, knowing that you're going to have them aggress onto you, rather than, like you said, Des, having a lack of mobility and trying to get an Orisa set up on quite an open position where a lot of long-distance fighters and close quarters fighters can just take the mickey, really, just absolutely demolish you.
That's what they're looking to do again here as well. I'm curious to see what 1.0 choose to roll out with on their defensive side as well. First point, Numbani, when you're defending it, you do like to have some vertical mobility on side, and to be fair, Monkey Goats fits that definition absolutely perfectly. Have that D.Va, have the Winston being able to leap around and defend their supports or aggress as or when needed to. I'm curious to see where they choose to stick hardest here on the Zarya as well. A lot of what he does is come down to protecting the Winston when he chooses to go in or engage on someone, but also here there's kind of a joint responsibility of also keeping your supports alive. They can be so vulnerable in the back, especially, as we saw earlier on today, when there is a Sombra on the other side.
Sombra on the offense looks like it's going to be the option for Mouse. Then Zeal's going to take over the Pharah. Tri-Spear still sticking on the Ana, so it looks like they're running their defensive composition on offense. Choose Money Crew feeling confident in using this on Numbani. A lot of high ground for them to capitalize with such an aerial composition. Really, the only person who can't get up there is just Tri-Spear. He's the only one without the mobility to follow this fight.
This is where they choose to try and stage their attack. This is quite a standard setup, actually, where you have the kind of two halves split on the defensive side. Generally have the more mobile ones on the left-hand side so they can move, and this is where the counter dive comes in. Immediately booped off, though. That was genius, being able to prevent him from landing on the high ground. This gives so much control over to SMC on this high ground now.
That was so precise. He hit the concussive blast on the Winston and forced him way beyond his intended trajectory for that jump, buying so much time for his offensive dive to actually get some kills in there and get some work done. Very clean micro play, but I don't think it's achieved that much, as still 1.0 have a solid grasp on this map. Jumping in, they've lost that high ground, and it's all for the taking for SMC.
No one pressured the supports when they drop down into alleyway. That's usually where you want to stick a Sombra there to receive them with open arms as the supports drop into you. You hack them, you kill them, but wasn't quite to beat in that instance here. Zeal trying to pull that ult out, but no one's caught. The
beauty of having cooldowns hardest, using the Protected Baron on himself, generating some free energy, and then also getting himself to safety while the rest of the team heals. Fat's got that nano boost available. Probably give that over to Super Pluke if he needs to dive onto a back line. Choose Money Crew. Like I said, the only target you can really hit there is Tri-Spear. The rest will just fly away or ascend to the heavens. Miles is about to get that EMP, and that could shut down a lot of the answers 1.0 have in this composition. There you go. Hacked him straight away. Zeal moves in onto hardest, and they're already onto the back line, but they've regrouped, trying to close their ranks and fight back the aggressors. Colsty has been flailed off the map, and they're going to be using that nano boost. I believe Fat gave it over to Barbie. Yes, he's going to drive into the back line. Find Super Pluke. Self-destruct on the point. Zeal's taking out Getamaze. Miles going down to the self-destruct, so they don't have to worry about that hidden threat anymore, as it looks like Horfik is trying to fight for the last couple of seconds. But I think 1.0 are going to be able to get back onto this point. Graviton Surge used to hold Izzy in place, but no one's there to follow up and get the damage, so he can fly to safety, get to Zeal. Transcendence being used by Scalar as well, keeps them on the point. Zeal's available, so close to getting that point ult, but I think they realized at 1.0 they got control of the situation. 1/3 left of the pie, a minute 45 roughly on the clock for SMC.
Don't be panicking too much, because they did manage to hold 1.0 for almost a full time as well, but a bit scrappy at points. They managed to bring down both hardest and one of the supports in the Mercy. That's Rez gone, that's your Zarya gone. But again, the power core almost extracted out of 1.0, but still didn't manage to close the fight off the back of that one. Shows a bit of grit on the 1.0 side to fight back in and take this point back. Now they've got to do it another couple of times if they want to be able to close this round out and hold them here.
If you're Zeal, are you waiting for Miles to get that EMP and trying to combo it with the barrage and get those both ults off to be able to have maximum damage onto 1.0? But you got to remember, 1.0's also very scattered, so you're not going to hit a 6-man in this at all, because they're just split all over this mini arena that point A is. Hardest has found Miles, so any risk of him getting that charge is just delayed even longer. He's going to have to passively accrue it in the spawn room.
Getamaze just keeping a very close eye on Zeal. He knows what he's trying to do here. That's why he sat so close in the front line on the high ground, making sure that if he were to try and go for like a concussion blast in, they'd catch him out. But that EMP is online. If they get this hack onto the D.Va, this could be huge for Zeal.
But they're sending in Colsty first. He's going to be lined up there. They have a nano boost to keep Zeal alive while he's vulnerable and static in the air using that ultimate. They want to commit to it. I think we see the lightning flow through him. That'll be the chance. EMP goes in hardest. He's going to receive a nano boost to keep him alive. Zeal's not committing yet. Tries to with the biotic grenade. Will shut that down. We're still watching Zeal fly around to the side. 1.0 have the positional advantage, but the money advantage is going over to SMC.
Nice.
They're getting the kills. Izzy moves in to help out Zeal. That's a Horfik that seems to be isolated as he's pushing back against SMC. 15 seconds alive. Barrage comes down from above. The kills are coming in for SMC. A sleep dart will deny it. Their payload has been captured, and it's going to start getting in motion for SMC.
You got the sleep off, but exchange his life for it. Not really going to be worth it, to be honest. Already your team's been pretty much wiped out by then. But all time to change come through. They're going to switch over and play the Goats themselves as well. 1Point haven't yet adapted to meet it. There we go. Superplute changing over as well. Goats for the second point of Numbani.
Name a more iconic duo. I'll wait.
You could probably find one somewhere.
Probably, but I haven't got the time.
Command Center on Lijiang Tower.
All the efforts to go ahead and do that, Des. But guess who's putting in the effort right now? Shoes Money Crew, they're trying to push forward. Transcendence comes out. Superflute's going to take Zeal. And there's a Graviton as well. 2 ults committed in that fight. Transcendence and Earth Shatter will kill the momentum SMC have for themselves. And Des, we've seen a lot of choke holding on this particular corner. Will we see more of it in this matchup?
It's what they'll be aiming for. Like I said, this was actually the spot earlier on where British Hurricane got held quite a while themselves, and then also managed to hold for quite a while themselves too. Depends how quickly they can break the deadlock here as well. Ultimates on side for 1Point aren't really there at all. There's a few on the way there, but Shoes Money Crew should be able to push and win here.
They're going to push through. Their health bar's going so low for 1Point without the adequate healing. And yes, Des, you are correct. That is a God Eam on Scalar. I was going to say Scala then, may as well.
Nice easy cleanup as well. 1Point do have some ults coming up, but I imagine this will be the sort of thing they'll say for third point. There's no way they manage to get out here and match second. It does give Shoes Money Crew about just under 3 minutes to go and try and push onto this point. 1Point managed it with very little contest. 2 minutes then to push and match that time bank. Otherwise, 1Point could go into the half 2-0 up.
Playing around the corner. 2 minutes 30. 2 to burn if you want to match the time bank. Self-destruct going over to the back line. They all push forward instead into the hands of 1Point, but they've got a Transcendence to keep their aggressive position maintained. Superpluke and the rest of 1Point going to bash over. There's a stun there. Earth Shatter not being used just yet, but Colty turns it around with a huge one onto Superpluke. They couldn't get the combination, and it's Tri-Spear to clean up and frag. This has surely got to be the home stretch for SMC EU.
Because it's so far back, they still get to have one more attempt, and Scalar has got that Transcendence online as well. They can afford to stall out here for a while. If Shoes Money Crew could storm through and win it here, though, they're going with the favourable time bank into the overtime.
Well, overtime still needs to happen. Horfik going very low. Needs to get that shield out, get on the contest. There's a Graviton Surge available for Mouse. They push forward. Hardest so close to his own. Shadow goes down, unable to find anyone. Shield is there to block. Mal's throwing it out, like you said, Des. Eaten, it's been consumed. Self-destruct over the top. Everyone's hiding behind terrain or a shield. Get a mace. Loses his own mech. He's going to have to build one back up as Horfik shuts down Colsty after he's shut down. Get a maze. Transcendence keeps everyone alive. There's the aggression. Graviton Surge. Going to be a swing and a miss for Hardest, but they've got the aggression with the Amp It Up to push them back. And guess what? The ebb and flow of Overwatch moves in favor of Shoes Money Crew as they push back and then they retreat finally to regroup to full force. 1 minute 10 on the clock.
All the ults being expended by 1Point, but they've already done a good job of building a bunch of those backups. Shoes Money Crew pushing back in with both support ultimates online. They haven't got far to go. One fight and this is theirs, Tridd.
Sound barrier to top them all up. They're going in onto Horfik. He seems to be the victim. Getamaze going down low. Transcendence. Make sure it doesn't happen. Nice charge on the Getamaze, but the sound barrier is clutch to keep him alive. Return Shatter will knock down Horfik as the Flame Strike takes out Colsty for exposing himself. While doing that, Hardest finds Tri-Spear. Mal's taking out Horfik. So guess what? They're even on the support front. But here's Hardest moving forward. He's going to let them take out Mal's. Got a Graviton Surge for the next fight. The fast reset was needed for SMC.
Shoes Money Crew expended everything there during that final attempt, and 1Point used very little. Didn't even have to panic and use either defensive ultimate, and Hardest still gets to hold onto this stall. He can literally ult them as they walk towards the point here, and potentially, unless Barbecue is watching out, ready to eat that grab, they can just hold them straight out.
Gonna have to do it quick, relying on Izzy. There's the rally pop before the fight. Graviton Surge gonna keep him off the point as they move forward. Mal's going low, but he won't be killed off just yet until Superpluke swings that final swing of the hammer. They're trying to move around the other side to at least force out the overtime, but the rest of their backline has just been left to the slaughterhouse that is Hardest. They're gonna go back to the point, make sure no one's left there. Overtime's gonna tick down. 1Point, go into the half, 2-0 up.
Another one of those series coming out relatively close as well, both getting towards the, well, just at the end or just before the end as well. That's how close it was always going to be. Good stuff though, promising signs. Again, these two halves definitely making a whole. 1Point establishing this identity, and I was concerned about what it would be like coming into the game. As it stands, my worries were mislaid. No, not necessary at all.
Yet again, got to praise creative compositions as well, using that Orisa on the offense. I feel, I agree with you, Des. I think like they would have been able to hold off a couple more seconds there just to get that supercharger down as well. That extra damage might have been enough for Hardest to just pop off, but unfortunately wasn't going to be the case. They still win the map though. We're going to go into the halftime and find out what our analysts thought about that.